Rangers are just about to embark on their JLT campaign.
They are, correct.
They're going to announce their squad today. A little birdie told me that they're going to announce their new captain.
Right.
A little bit from left field.
And the word is it might be a left arm tweaker.
What?
John Holland. That's what I'm hearing. Very strong.
Is that right?
It's a good choice.
Very strong.
Smart man.
They're looking to the future.
Righto.
They want the big duck to play all three forms.
Obviously, the
move
Australian
himself up the
selectors have
order.
got no input on
And they feel like they won't lose him to Australian selection, even if he gets 150 wickets this year. There's nothing more the duck can do.
Righto.
Big
Well, there you go.
news.
Just a little bit of
John Holland.
Yeah.
We'll try and get that confirmed for Cricket Victoria.
Reports suggest.
RSN understands that John Holland might be the JLT captain for the Bushrangers. Well, one man who might know, let's ask him. In fact, he jumped in there. Cameron White is a doyen of the Victorian cricket community. He's been good enough to join us again. Good morning, Whitey.
Yeah, good morning.
And commiserations on the captaincy, Cameron.
Doesn't sound very pumped about that, Flint.
No, well, I'm happy with John Holland. Smart
You are?
man, good cricketer, good cricketing brain. So, yeah, the duck, he can lead us.
He can lead us. Well, you're not too far. Well, October 1 is the first game, and the squad's announced not too long as well. And there's a couple of debutants they tell me they're going to be in this squad. Whitey, what have you seen through the pre-season that you've liked about these young, uncapped players?
Yeah, well, it's some exciting stuff, I think. We've just recently been up in Brisbane and Mooloolaba playing our pre-season practice game. So, yeah, the boys played pretty well. And as you mentioned, some of the youngsters did well and got a bit of exposure to some some outside competition games against other states who had pretty good teams in. So, yeah, some of our younger guys, Will Bukowski in particular, I think is an exciting prospect. He played a couple of Shield games or one Shield game last year, and he's now in the JLT squad. So
hearing good reports, Whitey.
Yeah, I think he's as good as I've seen for a long time in the young ranks in Victoria. So it's great to see a young top order batsman as well. Like, he'll probably bat high in the order in both forms for us this year, I think. So yeah, he's still very young, and hopefully he can have a long career.
As good as you've seen.
Yeah, I think coming through since Peter Hanscom and Finchy and that sort of younger player that have been very good players for us, and now Australia over the last few years. I think Will is he's in that sort of class of player, if not better, at the same sort of stage. So he has as much time for a young batsman as
I want 4 or 5 Vicks in that Australian top 6.
You're speaking to the wrong man.
We've got Maxi, and I am looking at you. Sorry, Whitey.
Can I ask you about that for people that enjoy their cricket at lower levels? Just to say, well, what makes him such a good player for someone who's played for Australia? And you can look at a young player and go, gee, this guy could be a little bit special. What do you see when you're watching him?
I see how much time he has when he's facing, any time you're batting in the nets, whether it's indoor or outdoor, I don't know, throughout my career, and I think anyone at any levels feels quite, enclosed and quite rushed in the nets, but Will looks as though he's just batting in the middle most of the time. He's got a lot of time when he plays. He's got a nice technique. He makes good decisions when he's facing the bowlers, so he looks like he's batting with pretty much a clear mind, which is what he talks about as well. So it's not only how he plays, but how he talks about the game for a young player. So all that makes a lot of sense to me, and what I see when I'm watching him bat, backs that up. So, yeah, he's pretty impressive. So hopefully he can turn that into runs in the real stuff.
And coming off some concussion issues as well, Whitey. And Sam Harper's the other one. So Sam's fit and hoping for a big season.
Yeah, they're both going well. They haven't been, obviously, throughout the preseason, they haven't been hitting the head again in the nets or anything like that. So I think it's inevitable as a top order batsman or playing cricket, you're probably going to cop another blow in the helmet at some stage. So that'll be an interesting time if and when that happens. Hopefully it doesn't. Hopefully he's just good enough to either hook them or get out of the road. But
duck,
yeah, that's a good one.
Because that I wanted to ask you is a little birdie told me that Bukowski was in the nets and the fast bowlers thought, we're going to sort of test him out here and bowl a bit short to him.
Oh, there's no holding back. They're super fast bowls. They just get right into it.
But so they're not being, he's not being necessarily looked after in a cricket sense. But is he someone that does duck? Is he sways out the way, or does he hit the short ball? What happens when it's bowled short to him?
Oh, he can do both. Yeah, most of the time he will probably duck, but yeah, in the one we've just played some one days and 2020s up in Brisbane, as I said, and he can play those shots as well. So yeah, he's got most shots covered pretty much for a young player at the moment. So as I said, he's a pretty good player, but there's a few other, as you mentioned, Flem, Sam Harper, got some exciting younger players coming through, and they're going to get an opportunity now because we do have a few people in the Australian team,
Blake
so it's good.
Thompson, can you talk us about him?
Yep, a real baseball sort of background, so a bit of he's probably a one-day short format player at the moment, and quite a good hitter of the ball. Again, he got a couple of nice scores up in Brisbane, so he played pretty well. He's got a hits off the back foot a bit like a baseball sort of swing, so it's a bit different, a bit unique. So which I think is always a good thing to have someone that's a little bit different. So he's all the signs are looking good there as well.
They said it'd never happen. Travis Dean's going to play white ball cricket.
The Maribyrnong Mauler, they're calling him. He got 65 or 30 balls in a one-day game
where's he going? Where's his hitting zones?
Oh, he shovels them to the leg side.
You have to.
Yeah, anyone that angles in, there's just.
I'm so pleased for that.
Yeah,
isn't it? He's played Sheffield Shield probably the last 3 or 4 years. No white ball cricket. Yeah, here he goes. He's got a chance.
Right. He got a chance.
The Mauler.
He got a chance up there, the Mauler, and he's taken it with both hands. He's a smart man, so he saw there was an opportunity. Peter Hanscom obviously replacing Finchy, and he thought, right, I'm going to get in there and have a go, and he's got the skill to do it. Like the way he bats in 4-day cricket requires a lot of skill, so I think he's realised that there's why not get involved in the Yep, exactly.
Well, they do say that it's much easier to become a short form player if you're a good long form player than the other way around.
That would make sense. Than be a good long form player only if you're a short form player. Yeah, well, that would make sense. But there was talk when he entered the cricket fraternity, the first class arena, Whitey, that was all he was ever going to be was this stodgy sort of opener, and there would be no one white ball cricket for him. What's changed? Is it a mindset or is it opportunity, or what's the difference?
Oh, probably opportunity. He probably just hasn't played a lot of white ball cricket. Especially on good pitches, like in Melbourne, his game is sort of suited to, in the shorter formats. He probably needs a bit of pace on the ball, and the club pitches in Melbourne don't really offer you that. So facing good fast bowling on a flat pitch and with a bit of pace on it in Brisbane, it gave him an opportunity to play some shots that with pace on the ball. So. Yeah, he was able to show us what he's got, and now he's got an opportunity to play in a JLT, so it's great.
So is that the art in finding young talent to forecast what they might be like on better wickets than what they're playing in locally or domestically?
100%, I think, especially with the conditions that are dealt with that club players get dealt in Melbourne. They're so far from anything that that at the next level. So it is sometimes a little bit hard to predict how a batsman or a bowler is going to perform when they get to first class level, but I guess that's Andrew Lynch's job, the chairman of selectors.
Travis Dean's an interesting one because I think you'll find he was very close to playing Test cricket last summer.
Australia, yeah. Renshaw, wasn't it?
Yeah, I reckon it was a pretty close run thing, and they both got runs when they needed to, but Renshaw got the nod. But Renshaw still has a little bit to prove to say that he's definitely going to make it at this phase of his career. So if Dean does get some early Shield runs, you never know.
Let's not get bogged down in the boring batsman for the Bushrangers.
Well, hold that.
What
Flem?
about the big...
Hold. We're going to get to a break, Flem. And there's some feedback coming through that perhaps there's been a slight alteration to the leadership of the Bushrangers.
What do you mean?
Well, R&D department is suggesting that your mail might have been delivered to the wrong house. 16 to 8, Cameron White is our special guest in the studio. We've got the Bushrangers squad, I believe, being given to us. But we've got Cameron White in the studio. Victorian cricketing legend is what he is, and we're very happy to have him. The Bushrangers getting ready for the JLT One Day Cup. Kicks off October 1 for them at the Wacker against WA, funnily enough. Now, the squad has just been given to me, Flem, and you've been given the captain. I don't know who that is just yet, but the squad for the Bushrangers is Cameron White, who's obviously with us, Wes Agar, Scott Boland, Travis Dean, Seb Gotch, Sam Harper, Marcus Harris, John Hastings, the big Duke, John Holland, your choice as skipper, Will Pukowski, who we've discussed, Matt Short, Peter Siddle, Blake Thompson, and Chris Tremaine. Flem, that's the 14-man squad for the JLT.
Yeah, I've got a bit of a public apology to do here. I might have gone a little bit at my mail.
It's not the duck, is it?
I'm turning into a journo now. My source wasn't right.
At the time, it was right.
John Holland, if you're teeing off on the first somewhere at the moment, really have a good round. Just concentrate on your bowling and your lower order batting because you won't be captaining the Bushrangers and the JLT. The man who would, and the man I wanted from the start, is our special guest today. He's our regular guest. Cam White, captain
of the Bushrangers.
You don't look that nervous. You've captained 2,582 games for Victoria in the past.
I've also tried to resign about 10 times as well.
20 times. Yeah. But it sits comfortably on your massive shoulders, the captaincy. I can't think of a better man with this young Bushrangers squad.
Well, Peter Hanson's actually the captain of Victoria, and hopefully he'll be back. Or not hopefully, but hopefully, because he's replacing Finchy, who's hurt his calf, and he should be. If Finchy's okay, Peter will be back maybe.
No,
game
we want
3.
you. We want you, Whitey.
Thanks,
you can look after this bunch of fine men. Do you think? Can we win it?
Yes, of course we can win it. Some good players.
Who's getting the wickets? We've banged on
the
about
Duck.
Boring batting. The Duck. I know he'll get 7 a game, but for the other 3, how are they pacing at the moment? Hastings, Siddle, Tremaine, the big quicks.
All pretty good.
Boland, Scotty.
Yep, Scotty's he's had the best pre-season, I think, out of those guys. Sids and the Big Duke have sort of on their way back from injury, but they're ticking over nicely, and obviously they're going to be fit and available for our first game. Scotty's been great along with Chris Tremaine throughout the pre-season as well. They've been involved in that, the Aussie setup. They were up in Darwin for some the pre-Bangladesh matches, I think they were, whatever they were.
That's what they were called, yeah.
Yeah, they were up there. So they're from a bowling point of view. I think our bowling should be in a pretty good spot. But you're looking for the Duck and probably Sids to lead the way for us.
Yep.
So when you've done it for 426 years at times over your career. Yep. Is your role changing now? Do you see yourself more as someone that is just a mentor for the younger group coming through, or what are your aims yourself as a cricketer this summer?
Oh, first and foremost to play well, and I think that's important. I still want to play well for Victoria, make runs and contribute to winning games. But then, does your mindset change a bit now after the disappointment of not being picked when you should have been over the last 18 months for Australia? Does it become sort of like legacy time? No, I don't think so. It's just about enjoying my cricket, really. Going out and just being quite relaxed and concentrate like I've always done. I've always loved playing for Victoria, and I'm going to continue to do that for this year and probably next year. So, and part of that role is, naturally, whether I'm captain or not, is just helping out and trying to make sure in a couple of years' time when I'm finished playing that the young players in this list that Flem just read out is that we're in a pretty good place to continue on winning. We've had quite a successful period of time in Victorian cricket. We've won a lot of shields over the last 10 or 12 years. So hopefully, when a couple more senior players step away in a few years' time or a couple of years' time, this next sort of group of players are in a good position to carry the strength of Victorian cricket forward, I guess. That's what I hope for anyway.
So we chatted to Andrew McDonald about this a couple of weeks ago, Whitey. Are you playing to win the JLT, or is this a development part for a Sheffield Shield season?
What did Andrew say?
I can't recall. That's why I'm asking you.
No, for my mind, I'm captain of the side now, so we'll be playing to win.
Another title, Whitey.
Yeah, why not? But yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not exactly sure what the mantra from Cricket Victoria's stance on this competition is, to be honest. But I know from a player's point of view, we'll be trying our absolute hardest to win it. Yeah, I guess it's a bit of a shortened competition compared to what it used to be. There's only 6 games now. The whole thing's done and dusted.
Are you happy
in about
with
2
the
weeks.
Marketing going into this JLT series?
What marketing would that be, Flynn?
I don't know, actually. Haven't seen a thing. I think it's on Cricket Australia.
On the McDonald's paper.
Live stream.
On the website. We're not even on TV.
It is live stream, that's right. Cricket.com.au, which I'm sure plenty of people will tune into.
What about the importance of, from a cricketer point of view, of starting the season well? So regardless of how important it is to lift the trophy, what you've done in previous years, particularly recently, is you've almost started the foundation of a really strong season by playing these games well and getting time in the middle. Is that like a focus for everyone, is really try and start this well because it can set up your year?
I'd hope so. I've sort of throughout my career, anywhere I've gone, whether it's county cricket or IPL or playing for Victoria, I put a bit of a focus on trying to start well, because then it just sort of takes the pressure off a bit. If you're sort of not switched on at the start of a tournament, or especially something that's only 6 games long, before you know it, the tournament's done and dusted, and you sort of all of a sudden it's Big Bash time and you're halfway through the season. So I think you've got no choice but to try and hit the ground running, and that starts from a lot of the things we spoke about over the last 2 weeks in our practice game. Was really treating them quite seriously, not just rolling through the motions, to make sure when we do hit a short tournament where hopefully we're rolling. We play WA in the first game on their home pitch, obviously in their conditions, which is totally foreign to what we're going to be, what we're practicing on. So it's a good challenge, but that's why the past couple of weeks up in Brisbane has been very important for us to make sure we're ready to go.
Whitey, can you give us an update on a man that I hope plays a little bit for the Bushrangers, but mainly with the baggy green this summer, and white ball cricket for Australia, James Pattinson? What's the update on him? He had a little reoccurrence or a hot spot in that stress. Is he back to bowling, and could you see him being at least available for the first test?
He's back to bowling on the nets up in Brisbane. He was up there with us. He didn't play any games, but he's back. And the plan, I'm pretty sure, is for him to play in the JLT Cup at this stage. So that'll obviously depend on how he goes over the next couple of weeks. But yeah, I think they're looking at somewhere like maybe the back end of that tournament, which would then,
that's good news.
I'd imagine, get him in a pretty strong position if he can play then, and maybe the first 1 or 2 Shield games makes him available for the Test matches, which would be exciting to have. James available for Australia, Mitchell Stark, obviously Paddy Cummins is going well at the moment, Hazelwood, so it gives us a good chance of winning if they're up and about, I would imagine.
It's a tough one. I'd love one of them just to be unlucky. That means we're at full strength.
One of them 12th man. James could bat 7 and we could play all 4 and Gary Lyon.
There you go. You mentioned that at the end of the Shield year. You were talking about his batting has gone a new level.
Yep,
James.
It has, and that's an option if they wanted to go that way. He's good enough to do that now, I think so. Whether they do that in an Ashes, it would be a pretty brave call, but it would help them with their bowling workloads. It would take a bit of stress off. All the quicks, they wouldn't have to bowl as much if there's 4 of them there. You've still got the spin, and James is, I'm saying, you're not going to lose much with your batting, and it's an aggressive move, but I don't know, that's Darren Lehman's a pretty aggressive man.
I'd love to see
he might go with it.
Quicks playing in a test match against the Poms.
Depends who the wicketkeeper is.
Well, I think that's going to get down to Sheffield Shield form.
Agree.
Is that gloves or bat?
I think bat. I think the conditions in Australia, I'm not a keeper, but I'd say they're it's easy keeping conditions compared to doing it in the subcontinent. I think it'll just get down to pure runs. I mean, I rate Wadey's batting so highly, but he just hasn't got going so far. So I'm not counting him out, but he'll need early runs in the Shield. Neville, Alex Carey got picked for Australia A.
Who's the best bat that has the gloves domestically?
Well, Peter Neville has the best first-class average, but I wouldn't think there's much between. They're different type of players, I think, Wadey and Neville. That's why I thought Wadey going to the subcontinent, I thought he could hurt the spinners more than a Peter Neville. He'd bat time and nudge it around, but I thought Wadey's got more boundary shots. But it's not easy to bat over there either, Wadey, but I just think Wadey could have sewn it up by now and he hasn't.
Yeah, that's probably right, and I agree with you. What you said about Adam about it's going to come down to the first 2 Shield games. I think Darren Lehman pretty much said that in one of his press conferences after the Bangladesh tour. So I think they'll put a lot of emphasis on whoever makes runs in those first couple of. I think they might even the Australian players, the batsmen might be available for the first 3. So that gives them a fair bit of opportunity, and I think whoever does well on that, they'll probably pick.
So when do you leave for the WACA?
Next Tuesday we're off, and then I think we've got a couple of practice matches, train grand final morning. Andrew McDonald and Mickey Lewis organised us a nice early slot, so we're ready to go for the granny at about midday time.
Are you tipping Whitey?
I think Richmond are going to win the grand final. I never thought I'd say that, but yeah, I think they're on a roller.
Tis the season, mate. Get on board. Get on board.
He was so confident then.
Yeah.
No brainer.
I don't even know.
There's a bias.
There's a family
Yeah,
league.
I know that, but
no.
I know him. He's cool and clinical. He'll take the family alliance out. He'll go, this is the team
100%.
And he's gone, Tigers.
And before we let you go, any runners coming up in the spring?
No runners.
It's disappointing.
No, not I think the cup's over. Did you see Damien Oliver's post-race interview? He just basically the other day on Almandon, he basically said he's just got to get it to the race and it's gone and it's done.
Oh, well, that's easy.
Yeah, no, it seemed like it was easy for him.
I think it's about $6 at tab.com.au.
Just wish we knew that before the race on Saturday as opposed to after the race.
Well, we're looking forward to it being over the JLT Cup as well.